Hello, and we are live. Hello, and welcome to episode 39 of Captain's Pick, the FPL podcast. I'm Geoff, and each week I'll be talking fantasy Premier League football. And this is the first official episode of the 1920 season. Got through 38 episodes of the first series, and thanks so much for everyone for listening in to the podcast. It's been an amazing response, so thank you everyone for that. But this is a new season, 1920, and we are live streaming. So hopefully you're catching this in the live stream, live streaming from Twitch. The URL is twitch.tv/captainspickpod, and hopefully you'll be able to join me in the live chat every week to talk about how our FPL teams are doing. And if you can't join us in the live chat, then I will upload the replay to YouTube. Again, that's the Captain's Pick, the FPL podcast YouTube channel. But of course, as always, this will go out as a podcast. So just search Captain's Pick in your podcast service provider, and you should find Captain's Pick in there. So hello and welcome to wherever you are watching and listening. Hopefully the video is all fine and the audio was working, so hopefully that is fine also. As I say, this is the second live stream I've done. Live streamed the last episode, episode 38 of last season, and this is very much how I want the podcast to look and listen going forward. So do bear with me through any technical difficulties, and obviously if I and ah a little bit, there's no editing here. We are live streaming, and I say I'm just going to upload this straight to YouTube later tonight. Hopefully that gets up along with the podcast. Hopefully I'll be looking to live stream every Wednesday around 6:30, 7 o'clock. But I am actually away for the next few days, which is terrible timing for FPL. So I thought I would get this up tonight. And but if you might have seen earlier on Twitter, so if you follow me at Captain's Pick Pod on Twitter, I did a little service announcement there, a little live video. And I'm maybe looking at the idea of doing a little live tweet. I'm not sure that's what you call it, but live tweeting a little video, certainly this week, every day in the afternoon, just to have a little talk about the day's issues, if there's been any transfers or injuries, and how the our latest drafts are looking. And today also I've got some on-screen graphics, so I'm going to be trying that out for the first time. So again, bear with me, and we'll see how we get on. But yeah, today pretty much is just a little bit about me and my FPL career, if you want to call it that. And so looking at my past finishes that aren't that great at all. I'm not an FPL expert. Very much just enjoy playing the game and like talking about FPL, and yeah, pretty much just getting involved really. And so yeah, we'll be looking at that. I'll put my Twitter details up on screen also, and then I'll have a look at my latest FPL draft team. See what you think of that. A little bit controversial, I think. And also posed a question on the last pod saying that I was going to be going without City defensive coverage for the first 3 games. So I'll be talking a little bit about that also. And then if we do have anyone join us in the live chat, I'm not sure we will. Again, it's going to take a fair few of these live streams and getting the announcements out a little bit earlier to say we're going live. So, but hopefully a few people will filter through into the live chat, and again we can have a little conversation there about all things FPL. Okay, so prepare for the first technical disaster. But we are going to have a little look, hopefully, at my Twitter page and my previous finishes. So here we go. I knew there'd be something. And there we go. Brilliant. Okay. So as you can see there on the left-hand side or right-hand side, I'm not sure because I'm looking at another screen here to see what I'm looking at, to see what you're looking at as well. But that's the Twitter page there, at Captain's Pick Pod. I'm of course Geoff. I think I said that earlier, but I was a little bit nervous, so who knows? But yeah, I am Geoff at Captain's Pick Pod, and yeah, in the bio there you can see all the details. So the twitch.tv/captainspickpod, that's where I'll be live streaming every week from Twitch. And of course, if you can't join us for the live stream, then do check out the replay, Captain's Pick, the FPL podcast on YouTube. I'll try and get that up the same night as the live stream. Hopefully I'll try and get that done every week. Also with the podcast, again, just search Captain's Pick in your podcast provider. And again, with any of these things, Twitch, YouTube and podcast services, if you can, give me a like, subscribe, follow, that would be much appreciated. And yeah, those are the sort of the Twitter details and the YouTube links. And then below that you can see my FPL finishes. So I'm just going to get that up in a little bit more detail for myself here. As you can see, been playing on here, you can see I've been playing since 13-14. So that's 5-6 years. I have played before 13-14 for a good few seasons, but it was under a different email address, so I don't actually have those details possible. So probably been playing the game for about 10 years now, and before that I was playing the Sun Dream Team quite a bit, and even before then, what was it, in the Telegraph or the Independent, showing my age, I think the Telegraph fantasy football team played that as well. And yeah, so I've been playing a fair few years, mostly just for enjoyment, pretty much casual FPL player, and really only last season did, and whether people say taking it seriously, I guess serious still in a fun way, but I certainly consumed a lot more FPL content, that's for sure. And I scored my highest ever points score with 2,211. That beat my previous by about 77 points, so I was really happy with that. Wasn't my highest rank finish, so highest was 155k. Last season came 234k, but I say smashed my points record. So I think that is the main thing that matters to me, is to try and improve on my highest points total each year. And hopefully that lands me a rank inside the top 100k. It's my general kind of goal that I look to get within that 100k. But yeah, some okay finishes, mostly always in the top 500k. So whatever that is in the top 10%. So again, pretty happy with that. But certainly going into next season, I'll be looking to improve upon my points score, and if I do that, then hopefully that means we'll get a higher rank. And okay, again, nice goal to get inside the top 100k, but mostly it's to try and win my mini leagues and to improve on that 2,211 point finish that I had last season. So that's a little bit about my FPL career. I say last season I started the podcast a year ago, pretty much this week, and yeah, 38 episodes into the podcast. This is the 39th. And yeah, it went really well. Kind of started the podcast just because I was interested in learning a little bit more about podcasting and hosting and some of the technical aspects of podcasting. And I love playing FPL and talking FPL, so it seemed like a good match. And yeah, it was a really interesting season to do it. Lots of ups and downs, and I don't know how much expertise I delivered, but I'm hopefully I provided some entertainment, and certainly in my poorer weeks, it was quite horrendous game weeks I had. So, but yeah, so if you want FPL expertise, I'm not sure this is a place, but if you're looking to see what a bit of a normie is doing, and maybe do the opposite from me, then this may be the live stream and podcast for you. So yeah, so just gonna now try the next window, and we'll be looking at my FPL draft. So let's see if this works. And yes, that looks pretty decent to me. Just gonna check that on this screen here, and yeah, that is up. So I'll leave my finishes up on screen there as well, so you can check those out. And yeah, so that is my FPL draft team currently. I am rocking a 5-3-2. In goal, I currently have Matt Ryan of Brighton. I'm doubling up in goalkeepers for them, so him and Button as my reserve goalkeeper. Pretty kind of standard fare there. Some decent opening fixtures for Brighton. Maybe not that great defensively, but I just don't like spending too much money on goalkeepers. Button is there as a reserve keeper if Ryan gets injured, so you got that little bit of insurance. So yeah, pretty much cheap and cheerful there. You'll probably tell from the rest of my team, it's a bit of a kind of a boom or bust team, I would say. Got a lot of heavy hitters and then a couple of cheapies. My bench is complete guff. And all that money is, say, going into the sort of 6-7 plays that I really wanted in pre-season. And so starting in my back line, I've gone for Trent Alexander-Arnold and Robertson as my double Liverpool defence. Just brilliant last season. I really had Trent last season as well. Started with him last season. Switched over to Robbo, I think, when Trent got injured. Stuck with Robertson for the rest of the season, and should have got Trent back in, but just didn't manage to make that move. So I'm starting with both of them, both 7 million, so hefty price tag there. But clean sheets, assists, potential goals from TAA. Could drop down to VVD, Virgil van Dijk, for to get another 500,000 in the bank. That may be something I look to do from my wildcard onwards, potentially. Liverpool got good opening fixtures, so that is potential there to do that. But I just really wanted to start with which I thought players that I could get a quick finish, a quick start rather, and sort of fly out the traps, try and get as many points as possible in the opening few game weeks. And alongside them in the sort of the trio of premium defence is Luca Dean. I did get on him very early last season, so he was an absolute winner for me. Amazing stats from him. Everton, great opening fixtures. Haven't been great in pre-season, but maybe we'll talk about pre-season after I've gone through the team. But great opening fixtures, and I very much go on fixtures and kind of eye test. Not particularly too much a stats man. I like a few stats here and there, but I think a lot of the time, mostly it just I look for the stats that I want to look for that says to bring in the player that I want to do. So I'm not sure I'm that great with stats, but if you're looking for stats, then do follow Who Got the Assist. Nick and Tom, I regularly listen to their podcasts. I've met the guys a couple of times at a couple of FPL meetings, meet and greets. Great guys, and massively into their stats, so I definitely recommend checking them out at @_GTA on Twitter, I believe. So check those out. But yeah, Luca Dean, you could go down to Coleman, save yourself 500,000 again, but I love the fact that Dean is on set pieces, free kicks. So could have a goal in him. They've just bought a new striker, Moise Keane, I think is how you pronounce his name. So a lot of the time, Dina's crossing, corners and that kind of thing weren't being pounced upon by the strikers. So hopefully with a good finisher up top. He'll improve on his assists this season as well. And then, as you can see, I've plumped for 4.0 million defenders, and I will be starting those. I know this is where everyone will go, not too sure about that, but is it a punt risk? Yeah. But when I look at my team, I still don't think my defence is light because I am rocking 3 premium defenders. And Gibson could well start the season. Lundstrom has started all the pre-season games. He's an out of position player, so he's down as a defender, plays in midfield. And I think if you're going to rock 4 million defenders, why not take the risk at the start of the season while they've potentially got more of a chance of starting? And when the team settle down a bit, potentially more players come in and they maybe get phased out. But by that time, I potentially could have used transfers or even my wild cards. So, and it does allow me to again have the big hitters that I really wanted. So as you can see at midfield, pretty template, but Salah and Sterling, just got to have those. Sterling looked great, and did Salah in the Community Shield. Barely had Sterling last season, and that was a massive mistake. So I wanted him in straight from the start. Had Salah most of the season last season. Captained him in my highest game week point score, over 100, 110 I think it was, when he scored that hat-trick away at Bournemouth, and I captained him then. Again, looked good in the Community Shield. Liverpool great fixtures, as long with City in the first 10, certainly from attacking point of view. So just got to have those players. And then Ryan Fraser in the sort of third midfielder there, 7.5 million, a little bit pricey than what I wanted to pay for him, but I still think he's going to have another good season on set pieces, gets a goal, gets an assist. Bournemouth good first sort of 10 opening fixtures, so I fancy him to do well. Might downgrade there to someone else after those 10 fixtures, depending on how he's doing. And then up front, Josh King, similar to Fraser there. I've gone King over Wilson because basically I just don't have any more money to get Wilson in. But again, over the first 10 fixtures, I'm sort of doubling up on that Bournemouth attack. So even if Wilson does score, I'm hoping that Fraser or King can at least an assist, or if Wilson assists them, even better. And I say King, I think, is good value. And then I have to go Kane. Started Kane last season. Was going to bring in Kane whatever the price pretty much this season. So the fact that he came in at 11 million was brilliant. So happy for that. So he's in. Currently vice captain for game week 1. Salah captain for game week 1. At the moment, can't see that changing really. I know there's a feeling that what's the point in having 3 big premiums like that, because you can only captain one of them each week. But I just think they're all going to score massive points this season. I think Kane will get back up to his 26, 27 goals again. And I think Sterling could well be the top point scorer this season. I think he's shown last season that he's into that Salah bracket of being able to probably captain him each week, home or away. Before last season, Sterling was a little bit of all or nothing each week. But I think certainly at the latter end of last season, you could see that even if he didn't get the big points, he'd still pick you up an assist, get you attacking points. So definitely a captain option. And each week, I think I've got 3 amazing captain choices, captain's picks from those 3. And that's why I wanted those 3 from the start. Again, with a lot of these premium players in my side, I'll be able to downgrade to any player that I want. So after the first 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10 game weeks, I can see how it's going. If it's completely going awry and the premiums aren't delivering, and obviously if they don't deliver, I haven't got too much more else in my side, then I might have to completely go early on a wild card and change things up. We'll just have to see on that. But I think I could get quite a lot of points pretty early from this team, and that's what I'm looking for, that fast start. Again, on my bench, just cheapies. Currently Wickham, Crystal Palace, 4.5 million. Might get a few minutes here and there. They've got Benteke up front. If he doesn't do too well, I can see Wickham coming on. Obviously, I could go Greenwood there, 4.5 million. Might get some minutes for Man United. I don't think he'll get as many as what people are expecting, and he's quite well owned, Greenwood. So I'm worried that if he doesn't get any minutes at all, that a lot of people transfer him out and he'll go down to 4.4, and I don't want to be stuck with that on my bench. Dendoncker, I think, might have nailed down a position in that Wolves midfield. So if I can have a 4.5 million midfielder playing each week, fantastic. Happy for him to come on. Certainly in the early weeks, if my 4 million defender sort of gamble doesn't pay off, he can get into the team, get me a couple of points. Great. Similarly with Hayden, looks to be nailed down in that Newcastle midfield. Not expecting too much from him. But again, could well come on for those 4.0 defenders. And I'll start with the defenders because I think they've got more chances of clean sheets. And again, if they don't get played, then basically I've got 5 players there vying for 2 spots in my team. I hated last season having players on my bench having points. It was the worst. And this kind of negates that a little bit, I think. Whether I'm overplaying that or not, I'm not sure. We'll see in the first 10 game weeks, I guess. So that is the draft at the moment. A few other players, obviously, I've considered so many players, but Sigurdsson, Bernardo Silva, Richarlison, a few of the Chelsea midfielders, Barkley, Pulisic. Who else? Arsenal up top, Aubameyang, the new signing Pepe, Lacazette. That top 3 could be immense for Arsenal. It's going to be interesting to see how they fare. I think they'll let in a lot of the back as well, but they could just try and outscore opponents each week, and they have the firepower to do that. That's the great thing about having Kane there. Could swap straight to Aubameyang or even Lacazette. The only player I couldn't quite do is getting Aguero for a straight swap. If Sterling got injured, for example, I've got the money to bring in Aguero there with 2 transfers, and I'm sure I could find 1 million somewhere, downgrade King or Fraser to add on top of Kane to Aguero if Kane were to get injured, which I know was injury prone last season. So that's another big factor of not getting in Kevin De Bruyne. I just didn't want Kane and De Bruyne. Just because of their previous injury records. Happy to have one slightly injury prone player on my side, but 2, and then you're looking to having to make maybe 2, 3, 4 transfers to get to swap around in your side. I just did not want that. I think you can go De Bruyne instead of Sterling, but having seen that Community Shield game the other day, I've got to go Sterling. I just think he's gonna absolutely shoot out the traps this season, and I think he's gonna be so much higher up the pitch than De Bruyne, and so hopefully that means the chance of him scoring more points is gonna go up, and I just wanted to start with him. So that's how the draft is looking. Again, looked at all those other players, but nobody else really felt right. Obviously, you've got the Leicester players, Perez, Tielemans, Maddison, but every time I put one in my side, I just thought, I just don't know. It's more of a wait and see, I think. None of them that well owned, so if they do go off, I'm not going to be punished. And that's another thing about a lot of the players in my team. They are quite well owned within the FPL Twitter community, also the game at large as well. So a lot of the sort of non-Twitter community have a lot of these well-owned players. So I am wary of the highly owned players, but I'll be honest, from my first draft, I think I've had TAA, Robertson, Dean, Luka Dean, Salah, Sterling and Kane in from the start of my first draft, and a Bournemouth attacking asset as well, at least one of those. So I've had pretty much 6, 7, 8 players in that draft team for most of my drafts in pre-season, and I just sort of mixed around with the cheaper defenders and the sort of the bench fodders, you will notice if you've done your maths, which would be very impressive. But I actually have 500,000 in the bank with this team also. Now I could spend that, could upgrade a 4 million defender to a 4.5, but all the 4.5s out there, I have no idea who would do better than these. And I could again upgrade a 4.5 million midfielder to a 5 million defender. Same issue. And again, up top is no one at 5 for forward wise, so there's no point in there. And obviously, I do realise starting with those 4.0 defenders is, a bit of a gamble. So that's why I've got the 500,000 in the bank. That if that totally goes wrong, if neither of those are getting even in the squad, let alone starting 11s, then I've got 500,000 in the bank. I can easily change that. And of course, ideally, I don't want to make a transfer after game week 1. Rather have 2 free transfers after the first 2 game weeks, and or after the first game week, going into the second, having 2 free transfers there. And so I've got 500,000. So if there is quite a lot of volatility in the transfer market, whoever bangs in the first game week 1, if I don't have them, I can probably wait to the second game week to bring them in, even if a couple of my players drop or these go high. I've got a 0.5 there, sort of leverage, that feels quite nice to have in my back pocket, to adapt to any of those price rises or price falls. It feels quite nice to have that. So that's the team. Nice to have that 500,000 in the bank. Of course, this may not be how I start the season, but I don't like to say locked in players, but it feels pretty locked in. Of course, the transfer window shuts on Thursday, I think 5 o'clock early evening. So be interested to see how many other players go in and out of the Premier League. So that could change things. I'm not sure any of these players are potentially up for transfers. I can't see any of them happening, but it may be transfers that occur outside of this team that may change things. But I'm pretty happy with this. Obviously, keep following at Captain's Pick Pod on Twitter, and I'll be updating you on if there's any changes to the draft. And as I mentioned earlier, that I'm trying to do a little live tweet every day running up to the deadline on Friday, just a quick debrief of how the team's looking, and again any big developments in the FPL world. A couple of the questions I posed at the start of the pod was obviously, am I crazy to start with 2 4.0 million defenders in my starting 11? Please do leave a comment down below on you if you're watching this on the YouTube replay. Do let me know if that's a bit of a bonkers thing. I say it's hard looking at my team, so I've got a light defence when I've got Robbo, TAA and Lugadine. So I'm still going to get points there. So, but I do understand that there is a bit of a risk there. But happy with most of my team. And as I mentioned again at the start, I will be probably rocking no City defensive coverage for the first 3 game weeks at least. Potentially the first 4 up until that international break after 4 game weeks. I can see them conceding in the first 3 game weeks. Of course, I mean, City, they could keep clean sheets for the first 20 odd games. They've got it in them. Game week 1 is such an unknown. Game week 2 they've got Spurs. It is at home, but we've seen that Spurs can score against City, certainly in the Champions League ties last season. And then they've got Bournemouth away, and we know how attacking Bournemouth are. Can't really see Bournemouth setting up to be too defensive. in any games really. So I could, they'll go for City for sure. And then Brighton's the fourth game. I mean, Brighton are meant to be a little bit more attacking this season under their new manager, but I mean that could be a clean sheet. And the other thing is, I just don't know who's really going to start for City at the back. Zinchenko looks like he may have nailed down the left back position, with Mendy away for injured or coming back from injury for the first few game weeks. But we don't really have accurate information on that. Laporte missed Community Shield. Will he start game week 1? Not sure. In the other centre back position, will it be Stones or Otamendi? And then at right back, looks like probably was Kyle Walker, but City look to be trying to sign a new right back as well. So who knows? Even Edison in goal, who was meant to be the the nailed on. Bravo's been playing well, played a lot of pre-season. So will he get the game week 1? I'm not sure. I think even if Laporte came back, there's a chance he could start left back. He has played there before. You could play Stones and Otamendi in the middle, Kyle Walker at right back. They've got so many options there. So I just don't know, and I'm happy to wait those first few game weeks to see who looks like they've nailed down a position in that defence. And what am I going to miss out on? Sort of 3 clean sheets, maybe 2 clean sheets, 10, 12, 13, 14 points potentially. I don't mind having that more up front with Sterling, Salah and Kane, King and Fraser. I think hopefully I'll be able to negate those Man City clean sheets if they do come. So those are the questions. Again, let me know in the comments below, or if you're watching this on the YouTube replay, am I mad to not have City defensive coverage for the first few game weeks? So that's the drafting. That's how that's looking. Now let's have a little look at the game week 1 fixtures, which is going to look on my second screen here. I couldn't actually manage to. I figured out how to get the live browser window open on OBS here. That's what I'm using on the live stream. But then it failed just before I went to stream, and so I had to take a quick picture of my draft team and put that up. But hopefully for next week I'll be able to get a live browser window up so I can show you the fixtures as well as my team and the points that I got in game week 1, etc. So Friday night, I think we all know, Friday 9th of August, this Friday, 8 o'clock, Liverpool home to Norwich. What's the scoreline going to be? Is it going to be a cricket score? Liverpool look decent, Community Shield. Norwich, unknown quantity, not great at the back last season in the Championship. Away at Anfield, it's going to be absolutely rocking. Could be a big score there. So captain Salah, could see attacking points from my defenders there. Not sure Mane's going to start. Don't think he'll make that game week 1. Potentially off the bench. So Liverpool look good for that game. And then the early game on Saturday, 12:30, Man City away at West Ham. Sterling looked good in the Community Shield. Could fly at that West Ham defence. West Ham have bought some really look to be decent attacking options. So I think they could trouble that City defence, but if it's an outscoring job, then City could easily do that. I think Aguero will start game week 1. I think he will. Sterling again could start up front, but I think Aguero will start. And I still expect City to do well there. I think that could be quite a few goals in that. I think that could be a 2-1 City, maybe 3-1, 3-2 City, something like that. And then the 3 o'clockers, you've got Bournemouth home, Sheffield United, promoted team. Expect Bournemouth to score goals in that, but Sheffield United apparently been decent at the back last season. Expect them to do better defensively at home, up at Bramall Lane. But expect goals from Bournemouth in that game. Burnley at home to Southampton could easily be a 0-0. I'm never too sure when these teams meet. Not sure about their attacking assets. Bit of an unknown quantity there. Could be a drab 0-0. Maybe a Burnley nick a goal. Palace at home to Everton. Palace seem to be all over the place at the moment, pre-season wise. Looks like Zaha will stay, but does he actually want to be there? Defensive injury problems. They've just signed Gary Cahill, so I think he'll start. But again, barely played last season at Chelsea. I'm a Chelsea supporter. I think he's a decent player. I think he'll do well at Palace, but so many problems at the back there. I just don't know. But Everton have been pretty average pre-season. Got a great squad there. Great fixtures. Just hoping for something from Luca Dean there. Be nice. And then Watford at home to Brighton. We'll see. Not sure. Bit of unknown quantity. Watford did pretty decent last season. Good assets there. Delafeu up front potentially. And then Brighton obviously could get a clean sheet there. Wouldn't bank on it with Brighton, but will they be this attacking outfit that the new manager's seeking for? We'll see. But yeah, interesting game there. And then the late game, Spurs at home to newly promoted Villa. Hopefully Harry Kane goes nuts and scores a load of goals, which would be lovely. Just unknown quantity again. Villa bought so many players this season. Are they going to be able to gel in straight away for game week 1 away at Spurs? First proper game in their new stadium from the start of the season, I'd say. They're going to be wanting to have a smashing result, aren't they? So fancy Spurs to go big in that game. And then the Sunday games, Leicester at home to Wolves. Leicester been tipped to do really well this season. Wolves, again, tipped to maybe struggle at the start because they're in the Europa League. I wouldn't count out Wolves though. Got such a good team. Did so well last season. We'll see if the Europa League has any bearing on them. But yeah, it's just a very tricky one to call that, I'd say. Newcastle at home to Arsenal. Newcastle all over the place as usual at the start of the season. Arsenal, a great attacking top three, awful at the defence. New striker for Newcastle. Could be a 3-2 away win there for Arsenal. I think could be a lot of goals in that. But I wouldn't rule Newcastle out. I just don't know. If this is Arsenal, you just never know. Away at Newcastle, we'll see. And then the last game, Man United at home to Chelsea. Lampard, new manager at Chelsea, absolutely amazing. My favourite Chelsea player of all time. Great to see him as manager, but completely unknown. Chelsea transfer ban, obviously, so a lot of the youth look like they're going to get a chance. Man United, who knows under Ole Gunnar Solskjaer. Aaron Wan-Bissaka, great signing. Maguire, again, good signing for them. Shoring up that back line, which was pretty dreadful last season. And again, this is just so many matches this game week 1. I think total unknown. So you probably tell from my draft team that I'm avoiding quite a lot of these teams. When you think I've got 3 Liverpool, 1 City, 1 Spurs, 2 Bournemouth, 1 Everton. So it's a small concentration of players from teams there. Because I just think there's so many unknowns from the likes of Arsenal, Chelsea, United, Wolves, Leicester even. Good new signings with Tielemans, Maddison, obviously bedding in again this season, probably Vardy, Perez. Is he going to start up front with Vardy? And who's going to be subbed in that? So many good midfielders that you got. Harvey Barnes on the bench as well. Damari Gray. So Mark Albrighton, you can't fit them all in. So it's going to be could be some disappointments from people picking Leicester players. I think, I don't know. We'll see. Might have egg on my face in there. It's game week 1, a little bit of an unknown. Again, that's why I've certainly for the first sort of 4 to 6, then 10 game weeks, I've tried to pick as many certain starters as possible with as good of fixtures as possible, with a couple of the 4.0 defenders in there to make up for a lot of the premium players that I've got. So that's game week 1 fixtures. That's my draft team, and a few thoughts on the Community Shield. I've already mentioned. Thought I've only really caught the highlights. Didn't manage to catch the whole game live, but thought Sterling looked good, looked lively. Likewise with Salah, thought looked decent. I know TAF went off early after 60 minutes, something like that, but we've been saying all pre-season TA great pick, so I'm not just going to change that on one 60-minute performance against the defending champions in what is a glorified friendly match. So I'm not even going to consider that in my thinking. He stays in my team for sure. And I think what it didn't do is totally cement Salah and Sterling in my team if they weren't cemented already. But interesting, there might be some value there with Gomez or Matip. I don't know. Gomez got the start, but I still think Matip could start in that first game. If you're ballsy enough to pick one of them and get it right, then it's amazing value to get into that Liverpool backline. But I'm just not risking it. Yes, and that was the Community Shield. So as I say, do look out for my little tweet live videos every day this week, leading up to the deadline on Friday, where I'll be doing little discussion points on how the draft is going and any big talking points that may occur. Okay, so I think that's where I am going to end the show. Let's just do one last transition. There we go, perfect. So again, thanks for joining me on this live stream or YouTube replay or podcast. Good luck with game week 1 if I don't speak or see you before then. And so until next time, it's been my pleasure to talk with you.